Some of the most interesting things about franchises are the stories of the brands, how they got started. Who was this person or persons that had this vision to create a product or service and make it so popular that it became a household name? So this week I decided to do some research into the history of some of my favorite brands. While I was digging around in the archives, I found that some brands have been competing with each other for decades. What's more interesting is how some of the stories of the brands are intertwined. So in this video, I'm going to share with you which franchise came first. And just a quick reminder, if you haven't done so already, to subscribe to the Franchise Frankness YouTube channel and give this video a thumbs up if you've ever wondered who came first. First up, Waffle House or Huddle House? Who came first? The answer to this one is Waffle House. Waffle House was founded by Joe Rogers and Tom Faulkner in 1955 in Decatur, Georgia. Joe brought the restaurant experience and Tom brought the real estate experience. Before the Waffle House was just a twinkle in his eye, Joe worked as a short order cook at Huddle House, a predominantly takeout 24/7 QSR or quick service restaurant. Huddle House disappeared in 1962, but there are just some features like the short counter and the bar that were worked into the design of the Waffle House. And in 1960, the Waffle House started franchising. Unfortunately, both Tom and Joe passed away this year, but they left 2,100 locations across the United States. And for those of you that live in the Southeast, I'm sure that you've seen a Huddle House. So Huddle House arrived on the scene in 1964, about 9 years after Waffle House. In the same city as Waffle House, Decatur, Georgia. The 24/7 diner was started by John Sparks, and in 1966, Huddle House started franchising. Unlike Waffle House, Huddle House still franchises to this day. And if you're curious, the huddle in Huddle House actually refers to a football huddle. Huddle House has over 400 restaurants nationwide. Up next are heavy hitters McDonald's and Burger King. Which came first? The answer, it's complicated. McDonald's started as a food stand called Air Dome in Monrovia, California in 1937 by a gentleman named Patrick McDonald. Patrick's two sons, Maurice and Richard, moved the operation to San Bernardino in 1940 and called it McDonald's Barbecue. After testing food items and overhauling the kitchen to accommodate the prep for these items, McDonald's officially opened in 1948. Now here's where the story gets a little interesting. In 1954, Ray Kroc, who was selling milkshake mixers at the time, received an order from McDonald's brothers for 8 mixers. Ray was used to selling the mixers by ones or twos, so naturally when he got an order for 8, he was very curious. Kroc talked the McDonald's brothers into franchising their brand, and Kroc opened his first unit as a master franchisor for McDonald's in Des Plaines, Illinois in 1955. If you're interested in the McDonald's story, check out the movie The Founder. Well, what about Burger King? Many sources cite that the founders of Burger King, which would eventually become known as just Burger King, were inspired by the successful McDonald's brothers. Burger King was founded in Jacksonville, Florida in 1953 by Keith Kramer and Matthew Burns. When Burger King, named for its 2 pieces of equipment called Insta machines, hit some financial bumps in the road, the company was acquired by franchisees David Edgerton and James McLemore. David and James were classmates at Cornell, and they both lived in Miami at the time. The 2 franchisees, now brand owners, dropped the Insta in Burger King and officially changed the name to just Burger King. The first Burger King location was opened up in Miami in 1954. Even though Burger King opened up a franchise location before McDonald's first franchise location, technically McDonald's came first. They opened in San Bernardino in 1948, but it wasn't until Kroc took them east and started heavily franchising that the brand really took off. Kroc labeled his first franchise location as McDonald's No. 1 and opened in 1955, a year after the first Burger King. Okay, up next, which came first, Marriott or Hilton? The answer is Hilton came first. The story of the Hilton starts with Conrad Hilton's first hotel acquisition in Cisco, Texas in 1919. Hilton went on to construct his first hotel in 1927 in Waco, Texas, although the first hotel to have the Hilton name was a conversion that opened in 1925 in Dallas. Hilton was also the first to establish a mass reservation system called Hilcron. Hilcron could receive reservations by telephone and even telegram. Hilton has over 4,900 properties worldwide and includes brands like DoubleTree, Hampton Inn, and Embassy Suites. The Marriott empire came a bit later. The first Marriott hotel was opened in Arlington, Virginia in 1957, but the Marriotts got their start as an A&W root beer shop in 1927, the same year that the couple were married. John and Alice Marriott grew their fleet of restaurants called the Hot Shop Eateries by adding food to the all-beverage A&W menu. In 1964, there were 73 Hot Shop Eateries. Marriott eventually closed or sold most of its eateries due to a thin profit margin, but the Marriotts continued to focus on their hotel empire. There are more than 5,700 Marriott properties worldwide, and Marriott includes brands like the Ritz-Carlton and Residence Inns. I love a good pizza, so I was really interested to find out who came first, Pizza Hut or Domino's Pizza. The answer is Pizza Hut came first. Two brothers, Dan and Frank Carney, founded Pizza Hut in 1958 in Wichita, Kansas. They got the Hut part of the name from the limited space available on their first pizza sign. The brand was started with a $600 capital infusion by the Carney's mom, and the first franchise store was opened a year later in 1959 in Topeka, Kansas. Pizza Hut now has more than 16,000 locations worldwide. The other pizza mammoth is Domino's Pizza. Tom Monahan and his brother James Monahan acquired an Espelante, Michigan pizzeria in 1960 called Dominic's. The deal between the brothers was that they would split the working hours at the store, but James already had a full-time job as a postman. Unwilling to give up his job, James traded his interest in the business to Tom for a Volkswagen Beetle Bug. Tom quickly acquired two other pizzerias in the same vicinity, but it wasn't until 1965 that the branded name Domino's was established. Tom went on to franchise the brand, and the first franchise store opened in 1967. Domino's now has over 13,000 locations nationwide. Okay, up next on the list is Subway and Jersey Mike's. Which came first? The answer is Jersey Mike's came first. Jersey Mike's opened up their first shop in 1956, but it wasn't until Peter Cancro, who was 17 at the time, bought the original and the only location in 1974 with the help of his banker/football coach. The expansion of the brand as we know it today really started to take off, and today, Jersey Mike's has over 1,000 locations nationwide. Subway was started by Fred DeLuca in 1965 in Bridgeport, Connecticut. The first Subway was first known as Pete's Super Submarines. The Pete in Pete's Super Subs was a gentleman named Dr. Peter Buck, who loaned Fred $1,000 to get the sub shop started. In 1968, the name was changed to Subway, and in 1974, Subway started franchising. There are now more than 44,000 Subway sandwich shops open worldwide. So everyone I've talked to has gotten this next one wrong. Who came first, Krispy Kreme or Dunkin' Donuts? The answer? Krispy Kreme came first. Krispy Kreme is legacy. The brand was founded in 1937 by Vernon Rudolph. He purchased a secret donut recipe from a Frenchman. The first Krispy Kreme opened its doors in Winston-Salem, North Carolina, and was a raving success. Vernon started out delivering the donuts to businesses, but due to the donuts' extreme popularity, he began selling them out of a hole he cut into the back of his building. Krispy Kreme started using donut machines to make their donuts in the 1950s. Well, what about Dunkin'? Dunkin' Donuts got its start in 1950 in Canton, Massachusetts. The founder of Dunkin' was William Rosenberg. William first opened an Open Kettle in 1948, and in 1950 Open Kettle was rebranded as Dunkin' Donuts, when Bill noticed that his clientele were dunking their donuts into their coffee. The first Dunkin' Donut franchise was sold in 1955. Okay, next up, Chipotle Mexican Grill or Moe's Southwest Grill? Which came first? The answer is Chipotle came first. Chipotle was founded in 1993 by Steve Ellis in Denver, Colorado. Steve's father loaned him $85,000, and the pair calculated that Steve needed to sell at least 107 burritos a day to keep the doors open. He ended up selling over 1,000 burritos a day, and shortly thereafter opened his second restaurant. McDonald's bought a minority position into the company in 1998, and by 2001, McDonald's was the majority investor. There are over 2,200 operating Chipotle restaurants worldwide. Welcome to Moe's. Did you know that Moe's is an acronym? It stands for Musicians, Outlaws, and Entertainers. Moe's was founded in 2000 by Raving Brands in Atlanta, Georgia. Focus Brands purchased Moe's in 2007 and upgraded the aesthetic and the experience. There are over 600 Moe's locations nationwide. And finally, the cult classic, White Castle or Crystal? Which came first? The answer is White Castle came first. Wichita, Kansas is the home to the first White Castle location. Walt Anderson was no stranger to making burgers. He'd been making hundreds of them as a short order cook. Walt had successfully opened 4 small burger locations when he met Billy Ingram, a real estate broker. Billy bought into Walt's business and White Castle was born. And believe it or not, White Castle has never been franchised. There are over 420 locations nationwide in operation today. Rhodey Davenport Jr. and J. Glenn Sherrill opened the first Crystal Burger in 1932 in Chattanooga, Tennessee. Initially, Crystal Burger sold just burgers and coffee. The Crystal name comes from its dedication to cleanliness. Rhodey's wife said the restaurant should be as clean as a crystal. It's no secret that Rhodey visited many White Castle locations. And like Sam Walton, Rhodey wanted to capitalize on what White Castle was doing right. There's more than 360 Crystal locations open and operating today. So are there any other brands that have made you wonder who came first? Let us know in the comments below, and hopefully there will be a part 2 to this series. There's a couple of our other videos here that I think that you'd really like. If you haven't made it over to our website, I'm going to leave a link here for you to click. There's a button down there that lets me know you care, so click it if you liked this video. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch you in the next one.